Hey guys, Omar here, the Knife Shark guy We are back with yet another Kershaw Discontinued Classic. Today's offering is the Kershaw Offset, which is model number 1597. And this is the first release of this knife. So before I even get into the knife, let's go ahead and do size comparison, because this is a big, hefty sucker. Let's put it up against the ZT 801 Blackwash. Okay, as you can see, the knife is, this is 3.5 inches. This is actually 3.6, so it's actually much larger than even the Blackwash 801 ZT. Let's put it up against the Spyderco Mantra, which is one of my favorites. Okay, just for fun, if you guys own any smaller knives, I got that as well. Let's go ahead and put it up against the Spyderco Chubby, and you can see the size comparison there. Really gigantic knife. I also have one of ZT's discontinued small knives, and actually the only small knife that ZT ever put out, which is the ZT-0900. All these knives that I'm putting up against the Kershaw Offset, I will be doing a review on every one of these. Even though you've seen them all, maybe you guys were thinking about collecting some of these discontinued beauties, who knows. Especially this one, because as far as I understand it, ZT's not going to be making any more small knives. This will be the last one. It's rumored anyway. So let's get into it. This is the Kershaw Offset 1597. Little backdrop note on this. I've done a video on this knife last year because I had some concerns about it. Basically, I thought it was a fake because the knife did not have a serial number on it. There's supposed to be a serial number right up against where it's right about here, up into the up here where the date is, but there is no serial number. I thought it was a fake. I still don't know what the story is on this knife, because there's actually quite a few of these paint splattered Kershaw offsets. But you know, I'm not going to go through the whole story. If you want to see it, you can check out that video. It's been up for about a year. So let's go ahead and get into this particular knife. The Kershaw Offset. This is probably one of the most interesting knives or experimental knives, I'm going to call an experimental knife, that ZT has ever, I'm sorry, not ZT, Kershaw has ever put out. So first up, let's take a look at it. This knife was designed by Ken Onion. It is made with what's called the mite technology, which is no longer around. In case any of you are not familiar with the mite technology, that is where they take the steel of the knife and they pour it into a mold to create the blade shape that you see here, and then they, once it hardens, it gets this shape. I don't think it was a very successful it didn't have a very successful run. Like I said, it was a very experimental, and I'll tell you why it wasn't very successful. This was at the time this knife was released. It was considered a super steel, believe it or not. The steel on this knife is MIM. You can see it right there, MIM 440C. And there is this has been discontinued, and they no longer even do this type of technology anymore. They've stopped doing it. One of the main reasons they've stopped doing it is if you take a good look at the blade, it's not actually proportional, in a sense that it kind of warped. It's a little bit warped on one side. I don't know if you could see that, but it's not exactly a perfectly straight blade. It's kind of warped. People didn't like that. And to show you that they actually put it into a mold, you can see Ken Onions. Wish I had some kind of better lighting, but you should be able to see Ken Onions mark right on the knife. It's actually engraved in the knife because they made the mold with Ken Onion's name in there, and they just poured the liquid into it. For a locking mechanism, the knife has what's called a thumb stud lock, which has since been discontinued. They no longer do that, basically because of the blade play. The way that works is you push down on this and close it, and then when you open it, now it's locked in place. One of the most interesting things about this knife is the spring assist on it. I spoke about this before regarding spring assists. If a spring assist knife is this large, it really should not be a spring assisted knife. It should be more like a manual knife, because spring assists usually only work with medium, with small to medium sized knives, or if you're going to have a large sized knife, they're going to probably have to take something away from the handle of the knife, maybe to make it lighter, so that the spring assist can easily shoot the blade out. In this case, they didn't have that problem. I'll tell you why. Most spring assist knives only have one torsion bar in them. Okay, the Kershaw 1597 offset actually has two, which is another reason why it's collectible. They've got one torsion bar on this side of the knife and another torsion bar on the other side, giving it that quick action, because with a knife this big, the knife would not shoot out quite as quickly. As you can see, it wouldn't shoot out that fast. So that's what made the knife more of a collectible. Secondly, the paint splatter on the knife, really nice looking artwork. It looks kind of like, like an artist, like threw paint splatter all over it. It kind of reminds me of an actual artist who made a living doing this. All of a sudden, his name, I can't think of his name, but if you guys can remember his name, I'm sorry, I think I remember his name is Pollock. It looks like the artist is, I can't remember his first name, but his last name is Pollock. Jason Pollock, I believe that's his name, who made a living with the paint splatter stuff. So it looks like he actually came in and threw paint splatter on it. That's what makes the knife really collectible as well. They re-released this knife a couple of times. They've re-released it in G10. There's also an orange version of the knife. These knives, they were in production for a while, and they went away. But if you take a look at the spine, even the spine's got the paint splatter all over it. Really, really nice. The box for the knife is gigantic. I mean, they've released quite a few number of knives in this size box before. It's because these knives are so gigantic. So, the weight of this knife is, it's not that heavy. It's just a big, bulky folder. I really can't even imagine anybody wanting to use this knife. I can assume that most people that actually bought the knife basically bought it as a collectible piece, because I think they already knew the knife wasn't going to be reproduced again. So it makes it kind of interesting. It's got a full back spacer, as you can see on the knife. It's got really good ergonomics. I guess it's okay. Well, maybe it's not great great ergonomics, because of this lump here. You don't really have a good grip on it. It's also because of the scales. They're aluminum scales. The aluminum scales have some kind of texture to them to give you a good grip, but it doesn't make a difference because it's still kind of slippery in your hand when you feel it. So that I'm not too keen on. One of the coolest things about this knife is the pocket clip. Let me lift that up so you guys can take a look at it. It looks like a little fire engraved on there. Really cool to look at. So you can see it's a model number, once again, 1597, made in the USA. This is a Ken Onion design knife. So, and you can also see on the opposite side of the blade, it says there might. I don't know if you can see that, but it says might to let you know that this is a new technology they were using. It's right about there. It says might. So This knife retailed, I believe at the time, it retailed for right around $129.99. I could be wrong on that. Yeah, it was a special piece at the time, the Kershaw was, when they came out with these. I picked up this knife for right around $189.99 when I collected it. Because it was an original, and they had the orange G10 version out there. I wasn't interested in that. I was particularly interested on this one. So there you have it. The Kershaw offset, folks. Again, my channel is new. I'm just starting out. I don't have very many subscribers. I've got 40 subscribers, but not very many people are leaving any comments on my channel, so I would appreciate your comments or questions regarding the Kershaw offset. And if you guys have any questions on it, I'll be happy to answer any questions. I want to hear your thoughts on this knife. If you guys are Kershaw collectors, or you're thinking about collecting Kershaw, having Kershaw Discontinued Collection, I want to hear about your thoughts on this. Please click like and subscribe. Like I said, I would really like to hear your comments on what you might think regarding this knife. Really would appreciate it. So until next time, once again, that's the Kershaw offset, 1597, designed by Ken Onion. Okay, right there. Paint splattered version. Once again, this is the first release of the knife. Like I said, there are several versions of this knife. It came out in G10. I believe they came out with one in, if I'm not mistaken, they came out with the Starburst Black G10 version with the Starburst pattern on it, similar to the Kershaw Spec Bump, which I'll do a review on that one as well at a later date. So there you have it. Once again, this is Omar, the Knife Shark guy, coming at you with the Kershaw offset 1597. If you like my channel, please click like and subscribe, and I really want to hear your comments on this because I'm trying to stir up interest from my site. So this is the Kershaw offset, and Omar, the Knife Shark guy, signing off with another Kershaw Discontinued Classic, and I will be back with another one. Happy knife hunting, everybody. Over and out.